Vidar. Fenric stopped talking and stared at Vidar as he chanted his name. But Vidar showed no reaction. All he did was look at Fenric with mysterious, unreadable eyes. His look was unusual, as if his focus had lost, or he was lost in thought. Fenric let go of the horse's bridle from his hand. He jumped off his horse, checked the sword hanging on his side, and then slowly advanced towards Vidar. "What the hell did you do?" Then he asked him, "Why did you kill Ivan like that?" But Vidar did not answer, and was still staring at him with the same slightly absent-minded look. It was strange. Fenric had expected him to utter his usual contorted words and smile. This was not the response he was waiting for, causing Fenric to remain silent and watch him as if trying to understand him. Not long after, Vidar finally moved his lips, and in a very low voice. "Because I got angry." "What?" "I got angry." "What nonsense is this?" Fenric unconsciously furrowed his eyebrows, but Vidar maintained the same absent-minded expression, as if he had lost focus. "I thought things were going according to my will, but maybe it wasn't my will to begin with." He looked like someone under the influence of drugs. Fenric had never seen Vidar in such a state before, and he stared at him in astonishment. But that didn't last long. In contrast to Vidar's absent-minded face, Fenric's eyes were shining with alertness and caution. Before he spoke slowly, "You've been hiding your identity." "Just an ordinary monster?" Fenric let out a sarcastic laugh and continued, "The Demon King, who has existed in the Forbidden Forest for thousands of years." Fenric was completely confident of the truth of Vidar's identity. If he wasn't the Demon King, he wouldn't have been able to kill a great wizard like Ivan in this way. But there were points he didn't understand. "Why did you help me? What is your real goal?" "Presepe," but what came out of Vidar's mouth was not an answer to the question. "Do you know Presepe too?" "What?" "My truth." Fenric remembered that Vidar had asked him the same question before. When he asked him if Presepe had the blood of monsters in him. Then too, he asked him if Presepe knew that. Suddenly, Fenric's features froze as he stared at Vidar coldly. Then, in a fleeting moment, Fenric quickly drew his sword from his flank. "She told me at the time that I could now kill anyone." Vidar's wandering blue eyes stared at Fenric. "And you too." "There is no difference between us, Vidar." At the sound of the threatening words, a faint smile appeared on Vidar's face, as if he was mocking. "Kill me? How?" Without his help, Fenric would not have been able to even get close to Presepe in his entire life. Even if Atari killed Hanan with his help, and killed Noah Duverne, what was the value of that? Compared to insignificant secondary characters, the real hero Vidar had power on a whole other level within the game. Above all, Vidar was the most powerful being in this fantasy world. No one was able to kill him or even harm him. This is how it was written in the story settings. Who kills whom? And in what way? No, you can't. Vidar smiled sarcastically and whispered, "I won't let you do that. You are just a secondary character, unable to do anything without my permission. Even your approach to Presepe was thanks to me allowing you to do so. To talk to her, to get close to her, to become an important person to her. To dare." At that moment, Vidar's wandering eyes were filled with clear and intense emotions. "You asked me about my true purpose, right?" His voice fell on the street with a dark and cold echo, "To take everything back to the beginning." "What?" "To return everyone to their original places, as they were. As specified in the original story. It is true that the situation no longer allows events to completely return to their original course, but as long as everyone returns to their roles, what does it matter how?" So Vidar thought. "Your usefulness to me has ended." Vidar's white hand, stained with traces of dried blood, quickly extended towards Fenric. "It means this silly game is over now, Fenric. It was the simplest way. Kill Fenric, then get Presepe." Vidar grabbed Fenric by the neck. As he clenched his fist, Fenric frowned, trying to resist. Soon, black smoke began to gather around Vidar's fingers, emitting a scorching flame capable of roasting skin to the bone, as happened with Ivan. Sarcasm was reflected in Vidar's blue eyes as they stared at Fenric. No matter how strong he pretended to be, Fenric was just a weak, helpless insect to him. Even if he tried to resist, he would never be able to overcome him. But at that moment, as Fenric gritted his teeth bearing the pain, he raised his sword with all his might and struck Vidar. With a strange feeling of pain, Vidar unconsciously released his neck, then looked down in amazement. Specifically, his side was completely pierced by Fenric's sword, piercing through his thick skin. Vidar's eyes, as he stared at the wound from which blood was flowing abundantly, held a lot of astonishment. To say he had never been hurt before was never true. While he was waiting for thousands of years for a being who did not even know who he was waiting for, and was exhausted by loneliness and isolation, he cut his neck with his own hands, and split his skin with his sharp claws to extract his entrails. But for someone else to hurt him, not himself, that was the first time. Why? In the face of this sudden attack, the feeling of suspicion was stronger than the pain. How could this happen? And for what reason? Vidar soon realized the answer. Vidar was the most powerful being captured in the game, so no one could kill or even harm him. Those were the values programmed into the game. But Fenric is no longer subject to the game's influence from the moment he regained consciousness thanks to Presepe, until now. A sarcastic laugh escaped from Vidar's slightly parted lips. He taught a sentient being, like himself, how to gain power within the game, and leaked information to him. Isn't it possible that I've done something very stupid? Vidar slowly reached out his hand and firmly grasped Fenric's sharp sword. Blood was dripping from his fingertips cut by the blade, but he didn't care about it at all. After he extracted the sword embedded in his body, he looked directly into Fenric's eyes. So, would you cry the same way if Ivan, Dietrich, or Siegfried were hurt? Of course not. These are not people dear to me. It's different with Duke Fenric. Then, his mind flashed to Precipice's face as she wept bitterly in front of the injured Fenric. Are you going to cry today too? And she's staring at that neck? As she looked at Fenric's burning neck with her hands, Vidar bit his lip hard. So, what if you did the same? What if I imitated exactly what Fenric did? Will you look at me and smile then? Suddenly he felt overwhelming anger. How could something that was originally mine be taken away by such a petty being? You should have worried about me, and cried for me, not for him. The ugly feelings, already twisted, began to twist more and more to swallow him up. Maybe that's why he wanted to instill despair in Fenric. The one who does not know anything correctly, does not realize his own worth, and continues to challenge him without stopping. He also wanted to tell him. It tells him truths he never realized. So that Fenric can better understand his true location. No matter how much you want, you will not be able to associate with Presepe. What? Brigide's real goal is not this. The real goal? So, wasn't her goal to get rid of the constant repetition and suffering caused by the male characters? Fenric's red eyes shook violently. At that very moment, Vidar continued, with a face filled with sarcasm, Presepe will give up this world. You will leave him forever.